One thing that you said was really interesting. You had these brokerages. You were confined to the office, right? You were here. You were local. Now you're international.
It was almost like I was a fish that didn't realize that my fish tank was a little too small.
Yep.
It's been the most eye-opening and financially rewarding experience I've had in my career, and Real gave that to us. We would have never been able to do it on our own.
So Joe, so excited to be here at your office today. We've been talking. You joined when there were only 2,000 agents at Real. We're now well into the 30s. Tell me about your journey, what that's been like for you here.
Yeah, we were always entrepreneurial about our real estate journey. Funny enough, I got jaded on the standard just in Vegas heat, showing houses all day. So I pivoted early on to getting out of the showing of homes. I went and became a listing agent. So Taylor and I built the Joe Taylor Group in 2005. We were originally RE/MAX agents, lived through the recession, opened our first brokerage in 2010, built that up to about 150 agents, and then pivoted and opened our second brokerage in 2016 and had zero desire to change anything. We were right around 120 agents at our brokerage when the concept of Real was brought to us. It didn't exist in Nevada at the time. And to be honest, I had a little bit of FOMO because there had been some early similar companies to Real that I didn't believe were going to make it, and then they did pretty good. And I saw some agent friends of mine go into concepts like that and do really well. And so when we had we viewed it in 2021 as the opportunity to kind of rewind the clock and go pivot from our Vegas-based operation. And a friend of mine that's now with us, Amy Youngren, says it best, to go to a brokerage without borders. And so we realized the journey we had been down and building relationships with teams and brokerages for years led us to a massive opportunity with Real. In 2021, we transitioned with 80 agents into the Real broker ecosystem. And so now we're about to hit our 5-year anniversary, and it's been the best business decision we've ever made.
That's amazing. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. June.
One thing that you said was really interesting. You had these brokerages. You were confined to the office, right? You were here. You were local. Now you're international with your network and your reach, which is just so impressive. Tell me a little bit about how you kind of adapted to that level of thinking. With traditional real estate, it is very much about the four walls you're in.
Right.
And what we're doing at Real is to really take that big community and be able to lean into it. You've done a fantastic job here. Thank you. Also the relationship with Amy. Tell me more about that.
So, funny enough, we got into real estate investing, and a mentor, a coach of ours, said owning real estate is really cool, but almost more important than that is controlling real estate. And we're like, what are you talking about? So we got into, wholesaling and things like that. I definitely understand, because I was there, the pride that a broker has in owning their company. What I didn't understand is when you own something, you have a P&L statement that, as you know, like Shakira's hips, it just doesn't lie, right? And owning a brokerage, the challenge that I didn't realize we had with it was we were for sure confined to the four walls of our office. Like if somebody wanted to affiliate with us, they had to hang their license physically at our location. We had a little bit of flexibility throughout the city where somebody could hang their license and then work from home. We had a license in the state of Nevada, but we really couldn't go up north because we would have to open a brick and mortar location. And then for sure, there was no options outside of Nevada.
Right.
So for us, we ended up looking at the Real opportunity. And really, I was talking to Jason Cassidy about this morning. Taylor and I were natural collaborators. And so it was like we naturally would go to coaching events. And I always paid more attention to the person sitting next to me than the person on stage. I just enjoyed getting to know people. We didn't have a monetization tool for that relationship.
Yep.
So it was like we were active in the curator community. Chris Smith and Jimmy Mackin built this amazing community. I was the Facebook leads guy. Amy Youngren, for example, was the YouTube girl. And so I would go up and speak at their conference, and then she would go up and speak, and we would get to know each other that way. And I think there's brokerages and brokerage owners all across the U.S. and Canada who love what they own, who don't realize their confinement. And it takes a little bit of kind of eye-opening for them to see, like, wait a minute, you're telling me that I can grow outside of Portland, Oregon, or I can grow outside of Tallahassee, Florida. And so it was almost like I was a fish that didn't realize that my fish tank was a little too small.
Yep.
And it's been the most eye-opening and financially rewarding experience I've had in my career to just realize every single agent I meet across North America, we can work together. We can build together. And Real gave that to us. We would have never been able to do it on our own.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so beyond that community, obviously where Real was at 2,000 agents, we've added so many different offerings. We've evolved a product. What would you say is the most attractive beyond the community aspect of agents joining Real at this point?
Funny enough, like what closed Taylor and I on Real was the tech. I had ran a tech company. So when we exited our first brokerage in 2012, I built a mobile application. It had nothing to do with real estate.
What was it?
It was called Tabiso, and it was an event discovery engine. So like imagine you knew you were going to be in Vegas from February 24th to the 26th. Imagine going on an app and just saying like, show me all the things that are happening. Community events, concerts, sporting events, whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was a social component to it. So it was fun.
Cool.
We partnered with Shaquille O'Neal. Like Snoop Dogg was tweeting about it. It was awesome. But when I came back into the real estate space, I learned the power of technology. And so then I started leveraging Facebook to generate leads for our agents. So it was like I was a little bit of a tech geek. When we came over to Real, it was like tons of conversations with Tamir. And then he was like, hey, I want you to meet Pritesh. And when I met Pritesh, funny enough, like he showed me the early versions of Reason, our like brokerage management software, and I was blown away. And I remember he told me some of the things he wanted to build. I saw an early version of the mobile app. And the one question I asked Pritesh was like, who owns this technology? Because I thought the company would have carved off a separate tech company that owned the tech, leased it to the brokerage side or whatever. When he said like, well, you'll own it as a shareholder, like as a guy that does transactions and gets stock and does the stock purchase plan, you're going to own this technology. And that was a big selling point to me. And like, I owned 2 different brokerages, and getting my P&L statement from our office manager was a nightmare as an owner. Like if I was buying a house or a car and I needed to prove I had income, I couldn't simply do it. And then, Real obviously now is advanced to the point well beyond just that simple platform. But I think that was one of the eye-opening things for me is like every agent now can see pending commissions, paid commissions, transactions, stock ownership, network growth. Like they can see everything in one location. People sitting at other independent brokerages don't have anything close to that.
Right.
The hard part is like we get it and we use it and we forget what it was like to not have it.
Right.
But like sometimes I have to remind myself like this is awesome. Like the fact that I have all of this at the power of my fingertips is huge.
Absolutely. What would you say is your kind of favorite aspect of Reason? Because it's evolved a lot,
Sure.
Since he showed you the wireframes back in the day, right?
Yeah.
At that point it was probably just the transactions
Right.
piece. Now there's integrations with Maxa, there's
Right.
the wallet,
Right.
there's so much more that we offer now. Like what do you find most interesting?
Well, I keep really close tabs on my network because that's, I would say when we came to Real, it was 80% managing my team and 20% growing my network, and it for sure has probably tipped the scales way onto the management of my network. So I keep a lot of track of that.
Do you use the wealth plan for that, or do you use?
I use the wealth plan, but I also just I want to make sure I know who's doing what.
Yeah.
And so I can see when agents in my network in Florida close transactions.
Yeah.
So you can hit people with a congratulations and things like that. So I keep track of that, but I think the wallet so innovative. It's a challenge that I know you guys probably bang your head against the wall to get realtors to think like entrepreneurs. Funny enough, It's like if you ask a real estate agent, why'd you get into the industry? It's like, I wanted to be my own boss, whatever. Being your own boss is very basic entrepreneurialism. But when we can get our agents to realize, like, you've got all of these appendages connected to this brokerage platform that enable you to truly be an entrepreneur. You don't have to drive Uber. You don't have to, do in Vegas. You don't have to deal blackjack. Like, there's so many different ways for you to run your real estate like enterprise, all through the Reason app. Stock ownership, transaction management, revenue share, like all these things are in there. And Real Wallet allowing people to manage their finances through it is crazy. Yep. It's hard. I can imagine for people, I remember years ago leaving a UNLV football game and seeing people just walk down back to the strip. And it was crazy. Yeah. And I said to my friends, like, why don't we just charge them $100 and we'll drop them off? Like, I created Uber, right?
Right.
But I was thinking, no one's going to hop in the car with us. That's crazy. And I remember when I heard about Uber, it's like, I'm not going to hop in some college
stranger
kid's car.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I have not been in a taxi in 10 years. So the process of educating agents' minds beyond just like where, like the caveman mentality of like sell house, get check. I'm super passionate about that. And Reason becomes the hub to get them to think like an entrepreneur, because even just opening the app, you see so much more than just your pending transactions. And so I can imagine it's frustrating for you guys too to go like, guys, think bigger. It's bigger than this,
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite parts of the wallet is the tax savings account. Sure. I think that's something that a lot of real estate agents forget about. I had a conversation with someone at Rise recently, and they said, I never saved for taxes. Yeah. And now I have this tax savings account. I forget about it. Is that a feature that you use?
Yeah, so we do profit first. Like, so we do the parts I don't like about it. Like, we don't always take profit first, but one of the things we do is we set aside our tax money immediately. I personally hate paying taxes, but I'm a faithful taxpayer. And it's become a lot easier because Whitney knows, she manages our finances. She just takes a percentage of every commission check, every revenue share payment, whatever it is, and she just stacks it away in our tax account so that at the end of the year when we pay our taxes, not that it doesn't hurt, but it's not coming out of my bank account.
Right.
Like, I think about this when the stock purchase plan too is, I said this in our meeting we were just in, like, I'm really good at making money. I'm really good at spending money. The part in between of managing it is I'm not the greatest. And so, like, take my taxes, put them in a separate account. Purchase stock for me and give me a little bit of a bonus. And then if I make a $10,000 commission, and $1,000 goes to the tax account and $1,000 goes to purchase stock, and Real puts a couple $100 on that, and I get $8,000, cool, I can live off of that.
Right.
It's so much easier than saying, give me all 10 and I'll decide what to do with it.
Right.
Because and I think most real estate agents can relate to that. They're probably not the greatest at that. And I think Real teaches money management and responsibility in the organization of the app, which I think is really cool.
Right, because you said you're good at spending it, right? So if you get that $10,000, you're going to spend it.
I'm going to spend it.
Right.
Yeah. But Real has principles built in that allow me to carve things out that make me a much more responsible person.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Joe, I really appreciate it. This was really exciting just to talk a little bit about your journey. And again, a happy anniversary, 5 years coming up this summer. We're so happy that you're here, and we're glad that you're partnering with us.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm really excited for the future.